Hello, everybody. It's me, EJ. Sorry to disappoint you. Luna will be here soon. She literally just got off of a train and she will be home soon. And she's going to be on stream as soon as she can get set up. So it might be about, I don't know, something like 10 or 15 minutes. You got to deal with me, EJ, the original Luna Stan, the monarch of the Luna Stans. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. I feel like a warm-up comedian right now. Having a great night? You look good. You all look great. The weather here in Vietnam is fantastic. It's warm, but it's not, I don't consider it blazing hot. I think it's quite comfortable for me. I grew up in a swamp, a humid swamp, so my standards are probably different than yours. You'd probably find it very hot unless you're from a very hot place. But can I sing for you? Kenichino wants to know. I can consider requests. John realizes asparagus. As soon as I put my headphones on, you hear hello. That was just for you, John. I haven't realized. You just made me realize asparagus. I never realized that before. Sing Cupid. I don't know Cupid. Cupid's a song? Let me look it up. Hold on. By 50/50? Is this a K-pop song? Why am I doing this? I shouldn't be doing this. Wow. I'm feeling lonely. Oh, I wish I'd find a lover that could hold me. Okay, that's it. That's all you get. I've never heard that song before. That was totally cold. I found a lyrics music video. See? I aim to please. You aim to please. That's a sign that a friend of mine's mom had over the toilet in the bathroom when I was a kid. So when Luna gets here, we have to make her sing. Sing Africa. Now that one I know. It's gonna take a lot to take me away from you. That's about as good as it's gonna get. So I think that's my last request. Last request. Living on a Prayer. Oh, that's that's like a evil request. I could do this part. I could do this no wait. No, we're not even gonna go there. I do like to sing Guns N' Roses to Luna to annoy her. Like, you're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. That's pretty much my talent, is annoying people with my voice. I'm very good at it. And I have very little shame. Please do stick around, though. Don't log off just because of me. Luna will be here shortly. We're going to move on past the topic of song requests. I think I have definitely done my part in humiliating myself for your amusement. Does anybody have any questions or comments about Sing the International? See, now that would be verging on disrespectful. I'm not warmed up, okay, folks. I didn't do my scales. I haven't done my arpeggios. So, you can't expect too much. I wasn't expecting this to be a singing gig, especially not for what I'm getting paid. We've been dancing with Bernie Sanders. Are y'all ready for the... Okay, this is a question for our international comrades not from the USA. Are we ready for the entire internet to be consumed with the American electoral politics for the next 2 years, basically? Are you ready for everyone to tell you to vote for Joe Biden, even if you're not from the USA? And to shame you for not voting for Joe Biden, even though you're not a citizen of the USA? Because that's definitely what happened 4 years ago. And it's going to happen again. I apologize on behalf of all my shitty fellow USA citizens. Kai just says no. With a period. Oh, that's not a period. That's a piece of dust on my screen. Didn't even get the period. Just no. Oh, Puerto Rican French Creole comrade. That's cool. I have not been to Puerto Rico. I would really love to go to Puerto Rico. I do have a uncle who is French Creole. If you don't vote for Biden, you're a bad person. I don't care if you can't vote. That is what you should get ready for. It's going to be really bad. What's going on in the USA? Please know I'm tired. Well, we're about to have another presidential election. And it's already getting obnoxious. We're going to have all kinds of shenanigans, and everyone's going to be telling you to vote blue no matter who, and you're a terrible person if you don't completely worship Joe Biden, even though he's relentlessly terrible and has made no progress and has done a lot of terrible things that happened under his administration. But if you don't vote blue no matter who, even if you're not from the USA, you will be shamed horrifically by the liberals over the next year and a half or so. This is kind of on topic with Luna's theme today. Luna's going to be talking about workers, cooperatives, and democracy, socialist democracy. If you haven't seen Luna's series on democratic centralism, she's currently working on, I believe it will be part 3, but it's a very interesting series, and I recommend you check it out probably after the stream. But she'll be touching on some of those topics, and they just passed yesterday a big, wonder how it looks when I leave the USA. Where are you going? Curious where you're going. You don't have to tell me, obviously, if you don't feel comfortable. But anyway. But so yeah, she'll be talking about the workers' cooperative law. The workers' cooperative law is very interesting. The government in Vietnam has been trying to support and facilitate and push for more workers' co-ops for years now. Most of the farming in Vietnam, 70% of Vietnamese people are farmers, including something like 90% of ethnic minorities. And most of the farming done, like the overwhelming majority of it, is done by cooperatives. Corporations cannot own farmland or do farming here. It has to be either an individual, a cooperative, or a family farm. And most of them are on the village level, village scale cooperatives. Luna's family does cooperative farming with their village. They've been pushing hard in the last few years to get truck drivers to form cooperatives. And they just passed a big law that will enhance and strengthen and facilitate more cooperatives while protecting cooperatives from what they call enterprisation. So that's going to be very interesting. It's going to be, Biden. Sorry to switch topics abruptly, but this chat, Biden smashed the rail strike. Biden let Roe versus Wade just slip away. Biden funded police more, gave police way more money, like millions of dollars more. What has Biden done that's good? It'd be a lot easier to make a list of things that Biden has done that are good. It'd be a lot shorter of a list. I can't really, I guess like failing the U.S. out of Afghanistan was good, I guess. Of course, he did it in the most spectacularly disorganized and like just messy way I can imagine, but it's good that at least the USA left a country. But I don't even think that was like Biden's intention. I think that was just moral luck coupled with incompetence. So I don't really mark that down as a win for Biden or anything. Soviet Bot says maybe there's 3 things if you look hard enough. I haven't found 3 yet, but people will say that, oh, he's better than Trump. Would you rather have Trump? It's like, no, I wouldn't rather have Trump. What are you talking about? That's not what we're talking about here. That's not the discussion. That's not the conversation that's being had. Everyone wants to think. It's because of metaphysical thinking. Everyone thinks in terms of binaries. Like, you either have to be in the paradigm of Biden Pro-Biden or pro-Trump? Hello, Luna. You're very dark and gloomy and green. Why do you like green tinted videos so much? It's very interesting.
I can't change it. It's just how it is. I can't.
You have OBS.
Here's the thing. I turn on OBS and somehow StreamYard doesn't take the OBS camera, so I have to turn it off.
You have to start the virtual camera, but that's okay. I'll have to give you a refresher on OBS. It's been a while since we used it. I know it's fine. It's good. You're good. You look okay. You just look like a vampire. Lost Muffin stands green, Luna. No, that room's not even green. Kenichi No says, "Is your room green?" No, that room is not even green. It's like
this
blue.
This is yellow. This is yellow, and this is like blue.
No, it's not green. That's all we know.
The camera is
yellow Parenti and green Luna.
I haven't even combed my hair yet. Oh my goodness.
Kill the Buddha says you need bi lighting, practically the law for left-wing video streams. Luna doesn't need bi lighting because Luna is bi.
I am, yes, by myself. So
what color is that dress? That's like a yellowy brown dress, but everything just looks green.
I don't get it. This camera, I blame this camera. Everything is green in this camera. I don't get it.
No, here's the thing, Luna. Here's the thing. You always like it that way because when I'm setting up the settings and stuff, you always make it more green.
I don't know. I like green. I am inside of me. I am a green person.
Well, it isn't easy. Here, they wanted me to sing earlier. It isn't easy being green. Having to wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Now we all need audio problems. Dang it, John.
To be like, that was a Parenti reference.
Yep.
Oh, before we go, can I play my trailer for the documentary we're working on? I should say our trailer.
Okay. Yes.
Luna did the rough cut of this documentary, and then our comrade Noam did I guess you would call it the close to final cutting, and then I'm doing the final cutting. So this is really a group project. If you haven't seen it yet, it's like a minute, 2 minutes long, I think. But Luna and I, the Non-Compete Cooperative, are putting out a documentary on defining fascism, the functions of fascism. And it's based very deeply on Michael Parenti's Functions of Fascism lecture. And what I'm very proud of is that we worked very hard to clean up the audio of Parenti. Because if you're not familiar with Michael Parenti, he's a fantastic speaker, but he is like infamously plagued with audio problems. So I thought we would give Michael Parenti a little comeuppance and really do a good job cleaning up the audio. It's what we tried to do. So this is the preview. And if you want to watch the documentary when it launches, it will launch hopefully this week. And that will be at youtube.com/non-compete. I'm typing that into a banner. So subscribe to Non-Compete. And let's give the trailer a little quick watch.
Most people are never exposed to real history. In school, we usually don't read history. We read history textbooks, and mainstream ones at that, which avoid underlying realities, and ones that propagate myths that serve the powers that be. Myths that some of us find harmful to the truth and to democracy. So this is real history. This particular segment is entitled The Functions of Fascism. Fascism is a name that was given to the political movement that arose in Italy under the leadership of Benito Mussolini, who ruled that country from 1922 to 1943. Nazism, a similar movement led by Adolf Hitler, Germany's dictator from 1933 to 45. The big landowners and industrialists used their fascist goon squads, gave them money and gave them arms, and used them as kind of strike breakers, anti-labor militias. They styled themselves the United Front against Bolshevism. In 1922, the big capital interests in Italy decided to go for the whole thing. representatives of the Federation of Industry and the Federation of Agriculture, which was a agribusiness firm, and representatives of the National Banking Association. They all met together, and they met with Mussolini, and they planned the fascist march on Rome. Mussolini sat there and planned that with the leading capitalists of Italy. By the way, this is almost never mentioned in the accounts about the March on Rome. These big capitalists contributed 20 million lira toward that undertaking. In the words of Senator Ettore Conti, himself a very loyal representative of the moneyed interests, quote, Mussolini was the candidate of the plutocracy, that is, of the wealthy, and the business associations. A very similar pattern, by the way, of coordination and compliance existed in Germany also, less than a decade later.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to watch that full documentary, it will be launching, we really hope by this weekend. I think it's really important that we have a functional and dialectical materialism rooted definition of fascism, because there are a lot of bad definitions of fascism running around out there. A lot of people, including myself, I used to use the Umberto Eco something like 14 points of fascism or whatever, but that's not actually a definition of fascism. That is a semiotic list of ways that fascists use, like, basically communicate with each other, signal to each other. It's not a definition of fascism. Michael Parenti's definition of fascism is rooted in dialectical materialism and, communism and class analysis. And if you want to learn more about that, you could watch Luna and I just went and did a deep dive into the definition of fascism in Breadcast this week, which you can watch at Non-Compete Live. And we pretty thoroughly talked about this. But yeah, we got a couple of comments I'm going to run through, and then I'm going to go let Luna take over completely here. But Jar said that Luna has a typical Vietnamese, this is true, typical Vietnamese bedroom with the green and blue paint and the mosquito net. That's pretty accurate, right, Luna? I think you're muted still. Oh, did I mute you? Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
you did mute me.
You couldn't unmute yourself?
This is my very typical princess room of mine. It's gonna be either blue or green, and then with the mosquito net with a lot of twinkle lines on it like this, and then like lace and
Glitter.
Yeah, glitter, lace, bow, something like that. So there you go.
And then how about the different types of fascism? We talk about that in the stream that we did on Breadcast on Sunday night. There are it has like an infinite number of forms that it can take, but there are essential foundational components to fascism. There are 3 of them, and then there are 5 common characteristics that they can express in many, many, many ways. And we're seeing a lot of different kinds of like designer fascism coming out these days, especially online, with all kinds of little fascist cults and faux leftist movements and that sort of thing. So anyway, I think it's important. Fascism is gaining popularity, and most Americans don't realize it. Absolutely, yeah. And fascism has a dialectical relationship with liberalism.
Exactly, it's like you're like in a frog in a pot that got slowly boiled without recognizing you're being boiled.
Right. But then the other thing that's scary is that when fascists decide they want to seize state power, once they've set up, like historically speaking, once they've set up all their connections and their alliances and they've gotten the capitalists on board, they can seize power really quickly. That's how it happened with Mussolini. It's how it happened with Hitler. It's how it happened with Pinochet. So, once they get the bourgeoisie on board, which it's just like, because I'm doing a lot of research right now because we're annotating this documentary, so we're putting a lot of little text boxes in it that have more information. And it's just shocking how all in the capitalist class has been with fascism every time fascists have taken power. Mussolini had the full support of all the business associations, the Industrial Confederation, the Agricultural Confederation, the National Bank Association. Hitler had everybody. I mean, Hitler had all the big capitalists, all the big corporations, IG Farben, Bayer, cookie companies, car manufacturers, all the capitalists supported Hitler because at that time there was an organized proletariat movement. There were communists and unionists that were getting a lot of popularity, and they were getting organized. And I believe that it was the CEO of what's that car? Fiat in Italy said that he supported Mussolini because the fascists were the only ones who could control labor. That's what he specifically said. So, anyway, if you want to learn more about that, check out youtube.com/noncompete. Watch the documentary when it drops. And without further ado, take it away, Luna. Glad you could be here, Luna. Talk to you later. Oh, you're muted.
I muted myself. I'm very glad that I find I can make this because I was just on the train just like 30 minutes ago. It was like, ooh, fly back home. So me and my mom on a motorbike, like shooting back home to get ready for this. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, EJ.
Oh, wait, real quick. I want to go ahead and give a backwards thank you to the person. Every time I start a show for Luna, later on in the comments, because you know how in the comments people will say, you know, show starts at 10 minutes or whatever, like they'll timestamp it. Every time I start the show, it'll be like, show starts at 10 minutes. Luna comes on at 24 minutes. It's like, if you want to skip that asshole, EJ, just go to 24 minutes. So thank you for that, everybody. Really appreciate the work you do with the timestamping. No, I understand. I would want to skip me too.
Kenny Tingle said fascism sound like a cancer to me after EJ explained. I mean, it is.
There was a historian named, I think, Doren, who Parenti quoted, and I read the book that he wrote, and it's he said that fascism is the bodyguard of capitalism. So yeah. Okay, bye everybody.
Okay. Oh, so fast. Okay, hi everybody. Hi. I just was on a train coming back to my hometown to deal with some personal issues, and that is why I'm here again. That's why I was late into this broadcast. And thank you so much to my comrade EJ for helping me starting this on time. Here today I'm going to talk about two main topics. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can just ask me, and I will try to answer them all. First topic today I want to talk about is continue the article that I started last week, which is about the socialist democracy in Vietnam and why and how we are building it directly from the Communist Party of Vietnam. And the second topic is that yesterday Vietnam just passed a new law on cooperative that got a lot of update on it and some kind of change, like very, very important changes on it. So I want you to know about it, about how Vietnam is trying so hard to make it's easier for cooperatives to start and to function and to help people, and how to make sure that we will avoid cooperative from the attack and the influence coming from the capitalist sector. It's very important too. So yes, let's talk about it first. It's going to be shorter, so let's talk about the new law that just got passed yet. Give me a second. Here's the thing. Oops, no, I don't want this. I want to present this share screen, this lawmaker. All right. So long story short, I want to give you a short introduction to cooperatives in Vietnam, just in case you don't know about it much yet. But if you watch my video about about law and land in Vietnam, and also about I forgot, I talk about this a lot. I draw a blank in my memories right now, but long story short, here's information about law on cooperatives in Vietnam. So right now in Vietnam, we have about 25,000 cooperatives in Vietnam, and most of them are agricultural cooperatives. Like maybe farmers who own their own land and they started their own cooperatives. Like my mom right now is a member of an agricultural cooperative in her village. And other than that, we have a cooperative on transportation cooperatives on like car owners They can start a cooperative on the transportation, moving stuff in and out of an area. The third kind is a small scale industry cooperative, such as, like village people in a village that can make, for example, they make basket out of bamboo. It's kind of a business in the village, and they start in cooperatives together like that. So like small scale industry, transportation, and agriculture. There are many other kinds of cooperatives too, such as, friends can open a coffee shop together, and they start a cooperative. But that is like the other kinds, any smaller section of that part of it. The three main is small scale industry, transportation, and agriculture. All right, 25,000 cooperatives. Now I give you a fun story right now. A few years ago, I encountered what do you call it? An expert about Vietnam. Absolutely, he's white. Of course, he's white. His name is Joe Buckley. I remember his name is Joe Buckley. He claimed to have Doctor of Philosophy degree in labor organizing or something like that. I could be wrong. And then he studied Vietnam and Cambodia for years, and he wrote a whole entire book about law on labor in Vietnam a few years ago. And I encountered him directly on Twitter, and he told me that there is no cooperatives in Vietnam. And that time I was really extremely shocked, because what was he talking about? My mom is a member of co-op in my village, and literally we have a law on cooperatives in Vietnam. We have a whoosh. I'm sorry for that noise. My neighbor over there is fixing the house. So okay, over 25,000 cooperatives, and that white quote unquote expert on Vietnam literally claimed that, who wrote a whole book about law on labor in Vietnam, literally claimed that there is no cooperatives in Vietnam. It's like, wow, the amount of ignorance and arrogance and racism here. Holy smokes, couldn't stand that. All right, so yes. And what do cooperatives in Vietnam do? First of all, what cooperatives in Vietnam do is that they support farmers and workers to, for example, farmers who own their own farms. Like 70% of Vietnamese people are farmers, and they all own their own farms because of, thanks to the land reforms that Vietnam did in 1940s and 1950s, that we gave, land to farmers in Vietnam. And with the law on agriculture in the 1990s, that every person that were born in the rural area of Vietnam would be assigned a piece of land equal to everybody. And that was why I was assigned a piece of rice farm, which is 500 square meter, which is around 22 times 22 meter, or 5 times 100. And yes, and that was, I got it for free from the government when I was born. And it's like that too. It's not because I have a special connection, or I'm so extremely rich or something. It's just a law in Vietnam that if you were born in the rural area, you will be assigned a piece of land, farming land, equal to everyone else in your village. It's just that. And it's just law, it's just a land that you can farm on. You have to farm on it. You cannot build a house or a mansion on it. You got it? A lot of people twisted this and turned it into against me, and it was so ding dong that I couldn't even understand how people can misunderstood it that much. But anyway, okay. And so a cooperative is when, farmers who have, they own their own means of production already. They own means of production. Like I own my own means of production. My mom does, or my aunts does too. But the problem is that because we are individually own that, so we don't have usually. Oh my, yeah, ổn quá. So complaining about how noisy it is. I'm so sorry. So it is to help farmer. It is to help farmer to, like the government when they start a cooperative like that. Usually we don't have a knowledge to start a crop. We don't know when should we start this crop, this year, how the weather, what kind of pesticide we should use, what kind of technique, the new technique should use, what kind of new breed of rice that we should use this year. And we don't have enough tools such as, like fertilizer or new seeds, or, like agricultural engineers to give us advice, and we tractors to harvest the rice. So we form a cooperative together. Wait a minute, Antonio Oliva, you're coming to Vietnam this September? All right, give us an email. Email us. We might be able to meet each other. Here we go. Hope you have a mind. You can email me at lunaoi.channel@gmail.com or noncompetcoop@gmail.com. All right, on one of the two, noncompetcoop@gmail or lunaoi.channel@gmail. Or you can just send both, so we'll be sure that either me or EJ will take the receive email. But it would be great, to have a chance to meet you. Amazing. Here, noncompetcoop@gmail.com or lunaoi.channel@gmail.com. That'll be amazing. Free mango. Come to Vietnam. I will give you a free mango. If by September we run out of mangoes, I will give you a bottle of mango jam that I made it myself. So yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Antonio Oliva, for your silver chat, and yes, and welcome to Vietnam. All right, cooperatives. That is why, we are farmers. We need cooperatives because the government supports us a lot to give us free advice. Free advice on what kind of fertilizers or seeds of rice, and advice from the agriculture, engineers, experts, and also tractors. So, for example, of course, we cannot. Every single family cannot own our own tractor because it's a waste of money and waste of labor. So that is why usually in one village we will have 2 or 3 tractors that the whole village will share. That is why usually one village will be one big cooperative right there. So for example, my mom has a piece of rice for my aunts too, and when the harvesting season come or the planting season come, people will join together and we share. Just 1 or 2 guys in the village will know how to how to drive those tractors, and they arrange this family is on that day, that family is on that day, so make sure that everything is finished within a month. So that's it. It's just easy like that. That was why we love cooperatives in Vietnam. And with the new law on cooperative, which is very much better, easier. It makes it easier for people to form a cooperatives in Vietnam. Now let's read this law. So so our latest law, the latest one is 2012. It was over 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So it's kind of out of date. That was why Vietnam just voted on this new. My mom is sweeping the floor next to me, so I just was can you please be gentle a little bit? All right, so few families share buffalo, exactly, buffalo or cow. Now, new law, this is in a video I made a few years ago about talking about the economy in Vietnam and cooperatives too. We talk about how Vietnam is planning to make it easier for Vietnamese people to form cooperatives, and actually we did it. It just happened. This new law on cooperatives makes it easier and protect better cooperatives and farmers from being co-opted by capitalists. Now let's read this. It is a brand new law, so I haven't found a full e-version on the internet yet, and this is the summary of that new law that just got passed. All right, lawmakers approved law on cooperatives. About 94.33% of the members of the National Assembly of Vietnam voted pass on this. It's good. So particularly the law clarifies the minimums and maximum capital contributions by official members to the cooperatives. Accordingly, a member can contribute 30% at maximum to the charter capital of a cooperative and not more than 40% of the charter capital for a cooperative union. So it is like important like that, because like before that there was no law on this. So a member can have too much of a share, too high of a share on the cooperative, so they have like kind of control position on cooperative like that. But with this new law, a member can only contribute 30% at maximum, cannot be higher than that. It is to make sure the equal share of a cooperative, and no one will have the main control in a cooperative like that. And to the charter capital for a cooperative union, one cooperative cannot have more than 40% of the share. That is again to protect. And also at the same time, I read in another article too, is that if there's charter like a cooperative union that have only two members, one member can not be more than 80%, something like that too. So it is rare. Usually a cooperative union would have at least 3 members, something like that. So yeah, so it's easier than that. I'm reading more too. The total capital contribution of members being foreign invested economic organizations and foreign individual investors must not exceed 30% of the charter capital of a cooperative and cooperative union, it said. So it opens the door for foreigners to be a member of cooperative in Vietnam. But again, it's also under a restriction that they can only contribute up to 30%, and that is it. Hey, Zonti, a super sticker. Let me check your super sticker to see what is that. I am waiting for the new full version of the law would be released. I can read it and analyze it, and I will make a video to explain it to you. But oh no. All right, super sticker. That is a pair. Giving a thumbs up. Thank you so much, Zonti. I want to make a quick video explaining this, but so far this is what we know for now. Also, June 20, the National Assembly deputies approved a resolution investment policy on project to construct a road connecting national highway. We are building a new highway connecting north to south of Vietnam to enhance our traffic, infrastructure quality too, which is awesome. We need that. Most of our highway roads are old. They were built in like 90s and early 2000, not high quality enough for our, quality of our vehicles anymore. So they're building one. So yeah, I'm hopeful. All right. Okay, now let's check this comment. I explained to American that my family is my family in Yugoslavia were given lands like this, and they insist that my family have special connection to the Communist Party in Yugoslavia. Holy smokes! Yes, we have the same exact experience in this. Literally, I was very naive at that time. It's like, hey, Vietnam land reform is really great. I mean, we give land to farmer. It's just because we born in rural areas. We like everybody should own their own introduction, but people who they are either bad faith attackers that they want to attack me and defame me, or they really will like ignorant people who they don't know anything about this, and because in their life they never face any kind of awesome land policy like that, they literally just could not imagine that there exists a country where the people will assign land just because they were born in a rural area and there is available land. Because in their capitalist mindset, living a capitalist regime, that is impossible. And here's the thing too. Those people, they're using me. They're using me and this true story of me to attack Vietnam, and that's what I can't, accept that. Because I don't care if they, attack me personally or lie about me, but they are using me to attack Vietnam, and that is what I don't agree with, and I don't accept that. I am totally on the right side here, because it is literally what Vietnam does. We give land to farmers because we are the government, constructed by the people, exists for the people, and we want to have, a socialist democracy, which is, I am gonna continue that article, but long story short, a socialist democracy is a brand new kind of regime of a state, the institution that is built by the people and for the people. All right? It's very different from the bourgeois democracy or capitalist regime, like in the West, that everything is for profit and to protect the benefit of the working class. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, we do the opposite. So democracy is not just an ideology. Democracy is not just an idea. Democracy, to us, to communists and socialists, it is an institution. Remember that democracy is an institution. That we are trying is a socialist democracy where people own their own means of production. And since it is an institution, it is a regime, it needs time to be built. It needs time to be studied. And on that period of building a socialist democracy, we will make mistakes. We will have achievements. The point that we look at those, what we did, what the lessons that we learned, the achievement that we had, and then the mistakes that we made, so we can learn from it. That is why this is the biggest, misunderstanding between, communists and, reactionaries, especially like, even between, Vietnamese communists and socialists and Western communists and socialists, because generally speaking, when we, a third world country communists and socialists, especially Vietnamese communists and socialists, when we talk about democracy, we talk about a regime, we talk about an institution, we talk about a system, a political system that was built by the people and exists for the benefit of the people. It is a system of institutions, to serve the people, like that. But in the West, you treat democracy as an ideology, as an idea in your head, that when democracy is when the workers own means of production, and when this, when that. Meanwhile, to us, it is a regime, it is a system. Yes, it is a system that will make sure that the people will own their own means of production. The people will have a control of the country, control of the economy. It's a system where there is no poverty. And everybody has, education and food and clothes and healthcare. It is a system that makes that come true. So we do not treat democracy as an ideology that we blindly follow. So that is why when I say that Vietnam is socialist, people don't understand that. People are like, no, Vietnam is not socialist because all of the workers in Vietnam don't own our means of production yet, or just like this, blah, blah, blah. No, because they treat it as an ideology that if you, like a checklist, they treat the democracy and socialism as a checklist, that once we only can be considered socialist and democratic if all the boxes in the checklist are checked. Meanwhile, we consider it as, a period a transitional period from capitalism to communism, and it's where we build an institute for our people like that. So that is a big difference between the concept about democracy and socialism in the West and the and us, global South country. All right, next one is let's see. What if every citizen had a special connection to the Communist Party of your country? How is that bad? I mean, yes, you have a point here. Even here's the thing, to being a Communist Party member of Vietnam is not even that big of a deal. It's so weird that people make it so much bigger a deal, like bigger deal like that. It actually is. There are 5.3 million party members in Vietnam, and there are 100 million people in Vietnam. So it means that 1 in every 20 Vietnamese people that you meet is a party member. 1 in every 20 is a party member. It's just a normal thing. My dad is a tractor worker. He drives big tractor to make roads in rural areas. He's just a normal guy, and he's a party member. It's just that my mom is not a party member. Me is not. My brother also is not. And it's being a party member in Vietnam, it doesn't mean anything. It just means that you're, like you want to seriously advocate for the party and to make better for the people. And here's the thing too, people saying that I am a party member or high ranking, it's even wrong, because I cannot be a party member because my partner is a foreigner. It is in the law that foreigners or anybody that has a partner who is a foreigner cannot be a party member yet. So I can only apply to be a party member only after EJ somehow has a Vietnamese citizenship. So those people who say that I am a party member or I'm a wealthy or something, it's like they are deadly wrong. They don't even know about, and a lot of them call themselves Vietnamese. Who attack me like Vietnamese, they actually Vietnamese reactionaries, disguise themselves as a leftist to like defame me like that. They don't even understand their own country's law. When they say that I am a party member, they don't understand that I can't not be because my partner is a foreigner. And they say that, I only have the land because I have a special connection to the party. They say that wrong, because like, no, if they just go back home as literally their aunt or their grandpa, grandma, their uncle, if they live in rural, if they own land or not. It's literally in the law that you're born in a total rural area, you will be assigned a piece of land. It's okay, let me show the land, the law on land in Vietnam, and I will tell you that. Let me Google it real quick right now. Luật. I'm reading this real quick so I can show you here. This is a literary law on land of Vietnam. And if you don't just take my word for it, I'm showing you the actual law right now. All right, so here's the thing. That translated to English. All right, let's read this real quick. This is actual law on land in Vietnam. Actually, agricultural law. Let's see. So there are there are many kinds of agricultural land, such as like planting perennial crops, annual crops, forest land, production forest, protection forest, special use forest, aquaculture, salt making land. Is that something like that? Yes. Can agricultural land be converted to residential land? Long story short, it theoretically it's possible, but it's very difficult because like the government only give them like a very very small amount of land that can be changed the purpose like that, and they need like special permission from the local government for that. It's gonna take years. It's not easy at all to change the purpose of using the land. And long story I will tell you too, nobody owns land in Vietnam like in the West. Land is collectively owned by the entire people of Vietnam. It is collective owned. What we have is a right to use that land. We don't own the land, we have a right to use that land. So though like the concept of ownership of land is absolutely different like in the West. And what we sell is we're not selling the land, we sell the land the land use it, the right to use that land. All right, we're not selling the land, the ownership of the land, we're selling the right to use that land for a period of time. So a lot of people, they don't understand this too, and they think that land ownership is the same in the West, but it's different. All right, let's continue this. The quota for allocation of land and annual crops to each household individual engaged in agricultural production is as follows. See, this is like the allocation of land right here. That literally, I'm telling you the truth that we are allocated land in Vietnam, and there is a maximum of the amount of the quota that you can receive, like no more than 3 hectares for each type of land for province, and the type of land, it depends on where you were born and what kind of land available at that time when you were born. So like I was born in the 90s, so at that time in my hometown it was mostly just rice farm, so I was allowed like this is a maximum of 3 hectares, but in fact it's way smaller than that, because 3 hectares is not big, by the way, because if like a family wants to be like totally depend on farming to live on for the whole family, it's not like, it's barely enough. But in fact it's way smaller than that because we have a way more people than the land we have. So we like the part of the piece that we can receive is very small. So my piece is only 500 square meter, like a teeny tiny small fraction of that maximum that we have. So yeah, we can ask for more, but usually we don't, because first of all, we don't have enough labor to work on that. Second of all, we cannot sell it as capitalist, so we cannot hold it. So yeah, usually we just ask enough for we to survive on, and that's it. Next is not than 2 hectares which have land for instance. Yeah, it's like it depends on where that which the area is that from, like 3 hectares or 2 hectares maximum. Yeah, the quota for allocation land perennial crops of each household individual must not exceed 10 hectares for communes. No more than 30 hectares for communes. But this is like, I'm sorry if the English is not great because it's translated Google translation directly from Vietnamese law. All right. My gosh, the noise is so horrible. Here they have a like very specific law on how much. Oh, here this is very important. Limits for receiving transfer agricultural land use right. See, this is like, we call it like land use rights. It's not land. You can only transfer land use rights. Keep in mind that, because nobody can own land permanently in Vietnam. Oh my god, this is so complicated. Let me see in Vietnamese. My god, English is so bad. I can't understand it. This is when people can, transfer their land use right, not exist this. It depends on what kind of agricultural land. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to show you. This is to prove to you that, first of all, we do allocate land to farmers in Vietnam. And the second of all, there's a maximum of land you can be allocated. It's not like as much as you can. And okay, next is let's show like quy định về unity. Let me all right, I can check the Google Translate sucks. And here's the thing too, Google Translate even sucks more between Vietnamese and English because our two languages are opposite to each other. So it's going to be very difficult for Google Translate to translate, perfectly or maybe a decent job Vietnamese to English and vice versa, because our grammar is totally different and our way of saying is totally different. Many times Vietnamese, the context is very important to Vietnamese language. It's so important that if we all understand the context, there are no need to be, to have a subject. There's no need to have a like tense, like present tense or past tense. There's no need for it because there's a context right there. So for example, so if to tell you like, oh, yesterday I went to some place, right? So the context that this story happened yesterday and I am the main subject. So to continue that story, I can just drop all the tense and I drop subject, which is me. So literally I can say like this. Oh, yesterday I go to restaurant and buy this thing. Also meet my friends. And yeah, so like we drop a lot like that because of the context is very different. So when we to a new context, we saying like, okay, now end of that yesterday story, now today we will do this, we will do that. We also drop the tense too. It's very important. So when I speak English, I tend to forget that I always have to remember tense. That is why it's very difficult. I'm sorry for the noise that you hear. Our neighbor is fixing the house. Anyway, long story short, it's very extremely difficult for Vietnamese to speak English because we always forget that even though as you already know that this story happened in the past, but in every single sentence, you need to change the form of your verbs. And you always need to have a subject in there, which takes a lot of time. Like, dude, I already told you that yesterday I did that. All right, do I always have to use the past tense in every single sentence in that story? It takes a lot of time. And you know what? It's so hard because even in Vietnamese, and even if we want to keep the tense, we just add, like in the past, we just add the word đã in it. So đã before a verb show that it's in the past. It's happened. And sẽ means it will happen, like will and that. So in Vietnam, all the sentence like all the tense like past or the future tense, we add a word for it, just like in English you add will and shall or something like that. In English, to say that it's a future tense, in Vietnam it's the same thing with the past. So it's so freaking hard for Vietnamese to learn all the different forms of verbs in the USA, like go, went, gone, and then like seated or something like that. It's so hard. Yeah, it's easier for Vietnamese to add one more word when we speak English, such as, so I usually say like, I did do that. right? It's easier for my brain to function because did here function the same as Vietnamese. We add one word in it and it means past tense, so we don't have to remember the past tense form of that verb. And I've been done telling it. I mean, it's easier for me, for my brain to process that than have to remember the forms, different forms. So like, for example, like I hate it too. Like in English, it's good, better, and best. And then it's bad, it's worse, and it's worst. Like, do you really have to do that? They ain't nothing like together at all. It's unnecessary to have that so many words exactly. And so I hate the word too, like run, ran, back to run. Can you come up with different verb, a different form so it can make sense? Run, ran, back to run. So like come, came, back to come. Spanish is worse with tenses because negatives don't have the tense in the verb in English, but in Spanish it does. Sometimes like double past or double person. Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise. I do really like that about the language. It makes it easier. It's just so different to English. I'm always really impressed people who can speak both. Oh, okay. Oh, the Vietnamese sound slightly like Mapudungun. Interesting. Interesting. I might consider learning this language then. Oh, at any rate, it's up to you if you believe, for instance, Vietnam is actually on the path to socialism or not. But also, it's much more important that communists actually have a praxis in our own country instead of, just armchair judging other socialist project online. I mean, here's the thing. Um, I don't. It doesn't matter that much if you think that we are socialists or not. It doesn't matter because you have no control over our country anyway. It matters more about what we, Vietnamese communists think about. And the thing that different is that we Vietnamese communists, we actually have a saying in Vietnam. And when we talk about something, we vote for something, our votes actually matter. And our saying actually matter. And we see that, the government, the National Assembly in Vietnam is actually making things better. It doesn't mean that we are perfect. We are far from perfect and we made so many mistakes. There's a lot of corruptions in Vietnam. It was so bad that this last year alone, sometime I read, over 1,000 people were sent to prison because of corruption. They all high-ranking members in the party or in the government. So we're not perfect, have so many problems, but at least we are seeing something is changing. Like for example, the new law on cooperatives passed in Vietnam makes it easier for Vietnamese people to join and start a cooperative. It's like that. And we actually seeing, government building the new highway road and, focus a lot on having, public transportation in Vietnam to, to enhance the quality of public transportation, which is non-existent in the US. I would guess that the cooperatives in Vietnam would be economically linked to overall central planning in the U.S. Socialist Industrial Unions. Yeah, you're right. The cooperatives in Vietnam is a part of the central planning, and we trying to make sure that it's gonna be easier for farmers to join cooperatives. So that's gonna be more cooperatives to compete with private owned sector in Vietnam, with capitalists, long story short. And yes, and also with the new law that got passed on law on cooperatives, trying to protect cooperatives from being, co-opted and controlled by capitalists. That like each member can contribute up to 30%, can be no more than that. Oh, this is True Gamer 66. Hello, Comrade Luna. I haven't been on. So brilliant. Twitter. I've noticed some sources talk crap about Cuba and a little Vietnam, but mostly Cuba, claiming they aren't socialist due to revisionism, which includes all 5 Marxist-Leninist countries. The only one I haven't seen mentioned was Laos, but they probably don't consider them socialist either. Yes. Those people also give me the impression that they support democratic Cambodia. Have you noticed his activity online? If so, what's your opinion? Yes, I've seen a lot of this online, like a lot, and it's not new. It's not a new thing, and I can spend hours talking about this. But long story short, this is my take on this. Those people who I am very skeptical, to be honest, I am very skeptical of anyone that accuse other people of being revisionist, especially Western ones, because it is, the sign of infantile disorder, the left-wing communism, because they are people that we have to deal with. They left-wing communists, the ultras, they usually call them the ultras. They usually call themselves, they are the only true communists and socialists. And all of us, countries like the 5 countries, Vietnam, Laos, Cuba, North Korea, whatever, we are all revisionists, and we all traitor to communism. It is not a new thing that even Lenin wrote intensively about this in his lifetime. And talking, those are people who they disguise as Marxists and Leninists. They disguise as communists, but all they do is to revise communists, revise Marxism, Leninism, and accuse true communists of being not communists, and only they are the only one. And here's the thing too, they are totally dogmatist, because we are revisionists, because we did have some succeed. And do you know that when the point of learning Marxism, Leninism, the point of being communist and socialist is to go out there, to get together, to organize and make some change, to practice. You learn theory so you can practice. And it is inevitable that when you practice your theory, you will make mistakes. But like Ho Chi Minh said, we should not be afraid of making mistakes, because that is inevitable. What we should be afraid of is that we make mistakes, but we do not fix it. That is what you should keep in mind. We communist and socialists in global South country, especially in Vietnam, Cuba, China, Laos, North Korea, because we learn theories and then we practice. We had a revolution, and along the way, after had a revolution, Vietnam had to fight against colonialist France, and then imperialist USA, and then the Khmer Rouge, the literal fascist regime in Cambodia that backed by both the USA and China under Deng Xiaoping. Along the way, of course, we are all human. We make mistakes. And the point is that we have to realize our mistakes and fix it. And the point is to get better in future. And at the same, on the other hand, we are the first 5 countries that are doing something different. Meanwhile, the rest of the world still suffer under capitalism and cannot have a revolution yet. You're still suffering. You're still looking for your way to have a revolution. Meanwhile, we already did it 70 freaking years ago, right? So we practice and we modify our theory so we can suit our material conditions, and we find our own path. And what we are saying, what we want to do right here is that we do not want you to copy what we did, because it is impossible. It is impossible to copy exactly what we did. Each of the country has a different material conditions. You have to find your own path. What we want you to do is look at us. Look at what we did, right and wrong. Look at what we achieved and what we did, what mistakes we did. Learn lessons from it and then find your own way to achieve your goal of communism and socialism. Okay? So that is why those people, we have to use your co-host. He's coming real quick. Here we go.
I surprised you. I'm back. Hi, I'm EJ. I was here earlier, and I'm back again shortly because I wanted to give some updates on the book. I have good news, bad news, and good news.
Okay.
So the first good news is that we are doing an experiment, and I hope this becomes permanent. But for right now, oh my God, the little tip of my earbuds just like got stuck in my ear. Anyway, okay. That was annoying. For right now, and for an undeterminate amount of time, hopefully permanently, but we're doing an experiment where we are reducing the shipping rate for international orders for the books at banyanhouse.org/shop. I'll put the link.
Awesome.
Shop. We're reducing the price from $15 to $10 for shipping for the book, because we have a new printer that allows us to ship internationally, but we haven't used them a lot yet. And we want to make sure that the quality is good and that the pricing is not off base from what we think it is. So right now it's a trial basis, but if you want to get the book right now with the $5 reduced price for shipping and you're not in the USA, order it right now at banyanhouse.org/shop. That's around the world, $10. Flat shipping fee. The bad news is our printers across the board are raising their prices by about $2. So I guess inflation and shit. So we are going to have to eventually raise the price for the book. We thought we would have to raise them today, actually. Today was the day we thought we would have to raise the prices. But Luna and I decided to go ahead and order one more box of books at the old price, the lower price. So for now, until we run out of that box of books, the books are still only $20 for the print copy.
Yeah.
And so right now, if you're international, is the best time. I'm not trying to be too much of a salesman here, but it is the best time to buy right now because the price is reduced and the printing price is as low as it's going to go. So you can get the book shipped to you anywhere in the world for $30 right now. I don't know how long that's going to last, though. Domestically in the USA, the books are still $20, and I think we charge $6 for shipping in the USA. The price of the books will go up by about $2 when we run out of this batch that we have right now, by $2. So they will be $22 soon. So I'm just telling that to everybody because a lot of people ask about the pricing, and a lot of people have asked us if we can make the price for shipping lower internationally. And we just want to let everybody know. So banyanhouse.org/shop. If you have any questions, let us know. I'll just show you real quick where you can order them if you want. Oh, the ebook, by the way, is free. Or you can donate, an amount if you want to support Luna's translation work. She is working on part 2 right now. She has finished the rough cut. We just have to, the rough draft. Sorry, I come from Video World. She's finished the rough draft. And we just have to edit it and get the annotations done. But part 2 will be coming out soon of the book. And if you want to support that, you can donate. You can buy the print book or whatever. Or you can just get the ebook for free. I'll show you real quick. This is banyanhouse.org. This is our site. And if you want to get the print copy, it's right here. If you want the ebook, it's right here. And if you go to the ebook one,
and please don't feel bad. Please don't feel bad. But if you can't, donate, because that's the e-version is free.
Yeah.
You can
add whatever price you want here. You can put $0 if you want.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's also on archive.org for free if you want to look it up on archive.org, and it's on Z Library. And it's Creative Commons. So if you want to upload it anywhere else, the ebook, I mean, go for it. So,
yeah.
All right,
We're
that was my update.
communists, though. Thank you so much.
We just want people to read the book. We just want people to read the book. So please read it however you can. Share it around, spread it to your comrades, have reading groups, and let us know if you have any questions. Thanks for everything. We'll talk.
I'm on page 7. Ooh.
Oh, yes. Keep going. Keep going. Bye, everybody.
Okay. All right. Back to the continue to the story about revisionism. Each country has its own material conditions. This is very crucial to understand this. Very essential. You need to understand that. Some socialists here in the US considers the socialist revisionists, but yet this country has never had a socialist revolution in any real sense. So here's the thing too. There are many reasons for this, phenomenon to happen. Like people in the belly of the beast, they consider themselves only them to be the true communists, and the other people, especially from the global south, they're not, because they revisionist trader, blah blah blah. First of all, it is because of the chauvinism and the racism. Chauvinism and racism means that they do not listen to us, not white people, when we explain about what we meant when we say this, and explain about our modern system, and we just like, hey, just maybe learn something from us, our value and our achievement. And the chauvinism is that they think that they are the best. They know better. And if they can't do it, nobody else can do it. Understand that? Because they cannot do it means that the rest of the world cannot also do it. They freaking chauvinists like that. So like, yes, they think that, and it's a really funny thing that like those people who claim to be real communists and socialists, they could not have a revolution yet. Meanwhile, all the revisionists that they claim to hate so much, we all had revolution. We hope had our own government, own communist party that like take the power and then lead the country alongside with the government and other unions like that. I mean, it's like to see the irony in here, and that it is sad. It is sad because like we really communists from not white country like in Vietnam, we really, really, really want communist socialists in the global in the imperial core to succeed, as much as those ultras in the imperial core want to see us fail and claim that we are traitors. We, non-white communist socialists, we want them to succeed because we did our part. We did our revolution. We kicked the USA out of our country. We did the French out of our country. And we ended the existence of the fascist puppet regime in the south of Vietnam. And we create our own government. Now we are still under the heavy control and sabotage and influence coming from the imperial core. What we want them to do is please succeed. Please end capitalism. Please end our biggest threat to our path, to socialism and communism. We desperately want you to succeed. We don't want to, like, just look at us. Haven't you ever seen Vietnamese comrades, Vietnamese communist socialists go to the West and attack those people and ridicule them? No, we don't. We don't, because first of all, we are very busy in our own country, because as a matter of fact, we have a saying in Vietnam. As this Vietnamese comrade said, Vietnamese people can actually see the government make things better and listen to them. The government also know the Vietnamese people are really good at rebel. So here's the thing. I want to talk a lot about this real quick too. They act as if, like Vietnamese, those, like revisionist Vietnamese, we are so oppressed alongside with the Vietnamese reactionaries. Like, we Vietnamese are so oppressed. We don't know better. We need the guidance coming from the West. We need the guidance coming from those Western ultras about how to make real communism. Like, are you serious? This country, we fought against French colonialism for 100 years. We fought against US imperialism for the next 20 years, and we ended the existence of the Khmer fascist regime for 10 freaking years, even though they were funded by both the USA and China. The very two powerful countries. We won. If anything that we Vietnamese people know exactly what to do is rebel and resistance. We are so good at it that we defeated literally every single great power that, try to oppress us. And now I'm sorry, people coming from the countries that lost to Vietnam, now trying to lecture Vietnamese people about how to fight back and how to build our own system. Like, see the amount of ignorance and chauvinism in here. Yeah, we need to teach Vietnamese how to run Vietnam. Like, literally, like they want to teach Vietnam how to resist imperialism and capitalism. Meanwhile, we literally did it. Meanwhile, they in their own belly, the business cannot do shit. I'm sorry, as I said, we really want you to succeed. Please succeed, so we can, be more free to pursue our path. But it is you who don't know how to resist capitalism yet. It is you who don't know how to start a revolution yet. So please, learn how to be a little bit humble and, focus on yours, problems only, please. So it's like Vietnam exposed the lack of democracy in the USA. Okay, back to the comment about, those there are a small group of people who, call Vietnam, China, Cuba, Laos revisionists while claiming that they support the Khmer Rouge. They are straight up fascists. I am confident in telling you that they are fascists disguised as leftists. And fascist disguised as leftist is nothing new. Mussolini, an opportunist disguised as a Marxist-Leninist in the 20s. But actually, he worked with capitalists and all he cared about is power. And at that time, because there was a very huge opportunity in Italy in the 20s to have a communist revolution, so Benito Mussolini took that as a chance to take power. He used Marxist-Leninism as a tool for him to gain power. He used the pseudo-revolutionary tone to gain power, to gain people's support. People supported him because he appeared himself as a revolutionist. Later, it was Hitler, who also disguised as a socialist, but straight up from the start, he was never a communist. He never cared about the workers. And the same story happened with Pol Pot in Cambodia. Cambodia is their real name, like what they call themselves, what Khmer people call themselves, Cambodia. So I really tend to call Cambodia. Exactly, that was exactly what Pol Pot did. Okay, so in the 40s, there was a guy named Socialist in Cambodia. And he went to France. He also studied kind of the same time, a little bit later than Ho Chi Minh, but he also got exposed to communism in France, right? And at that time in Indochina, including, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, communism gaining so much support from the people because, yes, it is a very promising kind of ideology that is the most possible, that capable of liberating humanity. And Ho Chi Minh at that time, and Mao Zedong, and many other communists, Suphanuvong, the Red Greens in Laos too, get a lot of support from the people and a very high chance of having a successful revolution here. Salazar took that momentum and claimed themselves to be, I'm communist, support me too, right? So he did that, and he even flew both, Quezon Phomihan, the communist leader of Laos, and Ho Chi Minh, the communist leader of Vietnam, to meet him, gave his support. And then in the 50s, and the 60s, he literally assassinated the chairman of the Communist Party of Cambodia. He took that chair. He became the chairman of the Communist Party of Cambodia. And he gained power from the moment that he took power, he immediately turned his back, showed his true face, that he sabotaged the resistance war of Vietnamese people against the USA. So at that time, they claimed that they hated, they hated the communist Vietnam, and he wanted to bring back the Angkor Empire. The empire in the 15th century in the Southeast Asia, all right? Very powerful empire. He wanted to bring back that. And he believed that the Khmer people were superior to, Vietnamese people, and Vietnamese people were the biggest threat to Khmer people, to superiority of Khmer people. That's what he believed. So, yes, it was straight up fascist. His ideology was straight up fascist. And in the 1970s, and he fully gained power, what he did was this. He straight up did genocide and eugenics policies on his own people. In just 4 years in power, 4 years from 1975 to 1979, he killed 25% of his population, of Cambodia's population. If you consider the ratio of the death rate and the population, the Cameroons is one of the most bloodthirsty regime in humanity, alongside with the Holocaust committed by the Nazi Germany. They killed 25 to 26% of their own population. Mass graves were everywhere in Cambodia, and I went to one of the Cameroon's museum in Cambodia, and it was breathtaking. It was horrifying. What he did was this. This is a very short list of what the Cameroons did. They did forced marriage. At that time, the Cameroons, under the leadership of Pol Pot, they want to create the superior race of Khmer people. It means that he wanted to create a race that is, the best. That is why he forced ugly people to marry beautiful people. He forced illiterate people to marry intellectual. All right? To make sure that the gene is kind of equal like that, the best. The forced marriage. That is freaking true. You go Google it. Forced marriage. They also at that time they were very anti-urban. Means that they believe that cities are the cancer of the society, and in order to have a perfect society, they need to get rid of all cities, get rid of all all the books and knowledge and people with glasses. I'm not lying. Please go read it. That was why you go with the pictures of millions of Cambodian people have to reallocate it, kicked out of the city and go live in re-education farm. They were forced to move away from their house in the cities to go live in concentration farm, as where they work as a farmer. So they live horribly like that. And they want to get rid of all the knowledge, because the knowledge is bad for society. They wanted to start everything from scratch. Start all the knowledge again. The knowledge is bad. They want, people to become illiterate in a sense that they can re-educate themselves using the Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge knowledge. Brainwashing. And a lot of people do not believe me this when I said this. But I read this literally in the museum of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. they didn't want even the knowledge of medicine, especially Western medicine. That is, I believe that is bad. They destroy all the knowledge about medicine, and they send literally children to study to the jungle in re-education farm and re-study all the medicine from scratch. And why children? Why not grown-ups? They believe that grown-ups are already contaminated. Grown-ups are already infested with dirty knowledge. That's why they want to start fresh from children. That was why you see children soldiers, children leaders in the Khmer Rouge. They started from teens. And by the early age of 20s, they become leader of the Khmer Rouge. All right? I'm not freaking lying. It is all truth. That is the insanity of Pol Pot and his regime, Khmer Rouge. So anyone who support Pol Pot, they are straight up fascists, disguised as leftists. No doubt about it. And even the USA knew about the insanity of Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. And in the video that I made, literally Jimmy Carter and Zbigniew Brzezinski, the Secretary of Defense at that time, I could be wrong, but some kind of secretary in the USA, even he said that. He knew that Pol Pot was a maniac. Pol Pot was a dirty, filthy killer. But because he's useful to fight against Vietnam, because the US just sourly lost to Vietnam, and they want the reason to be in chaos. And because of Vietnam, we are close ally to the USSR, and it was the Cold War time. So the USA rather supported a maniac just to sabotage Vietnam and the alliance with the USSR in the Cold War, even though they fully knew about the insanity and about the genocidal regime of the Khmer Rouge. They didn't care. They didn't give a shit about Cambodian who were killed by the regime. No. All they care about is the Cold War and how to sabotage Vietnam and the USSR. And China under Deng Xiaoping, this is a very sad part of history, but it's true. China under Deng Xiaoping, because of the Sino-Soviet split, they also wanted to sabotage Vietnam and the USSR in the Cold War. That was why it was a time when, even despite the difference in ideologies, China under Deng Xiaoping and the USA under Jimmy Carter shook hands together to support the Khmer Rouge. It was really, really sad time. That is, I'm telling the literal fact. Vietnam, don't get me wrong. I'm not using this to attack against China. No, I'm not. Vietnam and China, we have a very complicated relationship with each other that lasted over 2,000 freaking years. And nowadays, Vietnam and China, we are trying to maintain a good relationship. And China is one of our biggest trade partner in Vietnam. Is very important, and we want to live in peace, even though we still have a disagreement in the South China Sea, but that is none of your freaking business, and we can deal with it ourselves. All right. What we advocate for right now is a multipolar world order, where countries can be treated equal, and the USA can stop its existence as the bully of the rest of the world. That's what we want, and we will not join a side. We will not side with any country against other countries. So don't get us wrong. We will not side with the USA, of course. We also not side with China, of course, because we want to maintain as independence and a sovereign country. So don't get me wrong. Don't use this as like Luna attacked China. I said it clearly that I just state to you historical fact. And we as a communist socialists, we need to understand history. We need to learn the lesson from history so we never do that again. Got it? It's so bad trying to find perspective Southeast Asian people in English or American English opinions and perspectives. Exactly. It is a dominant perspective right now. Because first of all, they have so much money. The US is so rich. Mainstream media is so rich. Just look at the mainstream media they have. They have a BBC, they have a Reuters, they have a Voice of America, they have a Vice, they have RFA, Radio Free Asia. Holy smokes. They have a Fox News, ABC, CNN. Very powerful. What about us? Thank you so much, my good comrade. Socialist democracy. Let me look for that article real quick. Only democracy, and it's the oh shoot. Let's see. Can I find it or not? Yes, this one I think. Okay, I'm loading the article right now. Oh my goodness. Oh, give me a second. I need to look for that. It's in Google Chat, I think. What are some good Vietnamese newspaper to read? You can check out vietnamnews.com, Vietnam News, or communistreview.com, or tạp chí Cộng sản actually. On Communist Review, Vietnam News, what else? I need to look for that article. I'm sorry, people. Haha. Where is it? It was last week. What day is that? Holy smokes. Yeah, exactly. About 14. Here we go. All right, let me share this to you. So, okay, back to the topic that I said before. What we are building, trying to build a socialist democracy, which is again not an ideology, but an institution, a state institution where we have a law and we have protection of our people, the democracy of our people. Okay, last week I kind of ended it here, around here. Here, let's start from this. Okay, so this democracy, and what we mean, we say that this is coming straight from the Communist Party of Vietnam. Democracy is one of the characteristics of the law in the rule of law state. One of the basic factors to identify the rule of law state and the development level of society, because comprehensively, rule of law state is a type of high-level social organization. Okay, the struggle to protect the achievement of democracy, also the struggle for the recognition and exercise of democracy enforced by the rule of law. In general, in the beginning, democracy mainly manifested in political life. Later, it spread to other fields such as economy, culture, society, ideology, and spirit. Like many other social political phenomena, democracy also has an extremely complicated life. So, long story short, this part just means that the law in Vietnam is, democracy is also a part of the law. It means that the law is made under democracy. Democratically, people vote for their own law and choose their own law. And at the same time, the law exists to protect democracy, to maintain democracy in our, social life. And so it also means that um, um, democracy not just should be in, just political life, but it should also be in like economic life or culture or ideology, and even in our spirit, in our, your mental field too. So democracy should be a characteristic of our entire life, not just talk about political life. So that is the difference here. Democracy in every single aspect of a human being, not just in politics. As the agent and instrument of democracy, the law cannot be stipulated generally but must be concretized. Law must clearly and transparently stipulate the rights and duties of individuals and organizations in democratizing social and individual activities. It is needful to adopt reasonable provision on freedom and responsibility, prohibited and permitted acts in order to gradually implement the principle of law in the rule of law state. To do everything that is not prohibited by law and only do what is allowed by law. The long-standing reality of the so-called prohibited by law is still inadequate, even vacant, thereby creating different interpretation in thinking and action. We are saying like democracy, law is agent and instrument of democracy, and I explained it earlier before. The law should be, the sign of democracy and also the tool to implement democracy. And this later part saying how in the law we still have some weakness in the law that need to be fixed here, like still inadequate and vacant, and need more of the clarification for that. The principle that society must be ruled by law and ethical rules, and all acts of individuals and organizations must be allowed by law, and it is not contrary to social ethics. It's correct and necessary. Broadly, that principle is also present in the legal systems of different countries. That means that the legal and social ethical corridor will constitute about ensuring that all individuals and organizations respect the rules, can exercise democracy, and do not violate democracy. All right. I mean, I just say like, in each countries we have our own, set of law to decide what the democracy is and how to implement democracy, and what we must ensure is that all of us need to respect the rules to make sure that we can exercise democracy and cannot violate democracy. All right. I will read this real quick. It's kind of long, but I just read the main part of it. Democracy does not only need to be expressed in the law, formulation, and promulgation, but in legal regulations too. All right. Oh my God, these are all the words, even though it's like go over my head right now. Jeez Louise, what are they talking about? So much. Democracy must be manifested in legal consciousness and legal culture. This comes from democratization in the ideological and spiritual field. This concretized in sharing legal information, legal education, public opinion surveys. Yeah, okay, so we need to educate people on democracy to make people fully understand it and to practice not just in political life, as I said, but also culture, legal consciousness, spiritual field, And we need to concretize it, not just like say it in vaguely. We need to concretize democracy to make people understand it in detail, what it means. Yeah, very important. Here, freedom means being aware of inavailability and following set rules. Democracy is the right of people to participate in the government of the state and society. Therefore, to accomplish its crucial role of being an agent instrument of democracy in practice, the law must reflect the will and aspiration of the people. The limit of democracy and freedom must be determined by the legitimate rights and interests of citizens and society, and therefore, we should follow the principle of treating others as you would like others to treat you. I mean, this is a really much simple, right? I mean, freedom means that it doesn't mean that it's not like the West. Like, freedom doesn't mean that you can do and say whatever the heck you want. Again, as democracy, it just doesn't mean that you can just, do whatever you want and demand your voice to always be heard, something like that. I mean, in a sense that, like, you need to understand that freedom and democracy in a sense that you need to respect other people's freedom and democracy. Got it? So, for example, you have a saying in the West that my freedom ends when yours starts. So it is exactly that. My freedom ends when yours starts. Means that I have to freaking respect other people's freedom and democracy too, not just myself. Do not be an individualist here. So when I say, like, it doesn't matter when you always have to demand your voice to be heard according to democracy, in a sense, that's, don't get me wrong. All right, so democracy in a group of people. Okay, when we when we vote for a solution or something, of course you have a democracy and freedom to express your voice, your concern, and your opinion. But when people start voting to choose the most suitable solution for that, and if somehow your solution was not voted, your solution is not the majority, and people did not vote for it, you have to then obey the decision of the group. You have to be collectivist here. You cannot be individualist. You cannot be mad because, they did not vote. They did not vote for my solution, so I am mad. I'm gonna go sue people. I'm gonna go talk shit about people now because my voice was not heard. And you go around and you lie about like how your voice being oppressed because like people didn't vote for your solution. No, you cannot be like that. You have a freedom and democracy to express your voice and your opinion and to vote for the voice to the solution. But once the group voted and picked up and choose a solution, you have to listen to the group. That is what we call democratic centralism, and I am making the third part of it. So that is when that's what it meant when this article said the limit of democracy and freedom. That is when it limits. When the collective, when the group chose a solution, you have to listen. You cannot sabotage it. What you can do, even if you're still totally disagree to this, what you should do and what you can do is to stay away from it. You can observe, you can write report, you can give concern to the leader, you can collect evidence why it is bad to prove to the leader group that why they need to listen to you. And you can only do that after, to spend time and effort observing, writing report, and collecting evidence. You need to collect evidence to prove your opinion. You cannot just, because they didn't choose me, so I just gonna go around and lie about it and sabotage and try to stop them from doing it. No, you can't. That is what we meant when we say the limit of freedom and democracy. Just exactly to say, my freedom ends when yours start. Freedom also means responsibility. Exactly. You have to take responsibility for your actions, which the political elite can authoritarianism when they can get called out. Yeah, exactly. Freedom doesn't mean you can do whatever the heck you want. It means that you have to respect other people's freedom too, and you have to be responsible for what you did. Individual flowers when individualism dies. Exactly. Very good way of saying it. Need to find a balance in freedom between each individual. Yep. Okay, next, continue the article. The cause of national reform, development, socialist-oriented market economy, international integration, democratization have made a strong impact on all aspects of legal life. Yeah, I mean, true. We have to change our laws. The laws must be changed according to the actual material conditions of the society. Balancing individual interests with social benefits, motivating material interests, protecting legitimate enjoyment, self-discipline at work, law obedience of citizens are qualities, moral values, and legal principles of Vietnam today. Okay. Socialist democracy is a democracy of the working people, which is manifested in political, economic, cultural, and social life, and formed and developed by all true cultural values of humanity. Yes, I mean a very simple definition of socialist democracy: democracy of the working people, that manifested in many aspects such as political, economic, cultural, and social life. As society develops, both material, intellectual, and individual lives become more and more diversified, and the democratization and practice of democracy are strongly promoted. Yeah, they continue about how the law must go hand in hand with democracy, strengthening the legislation, also strengthening the democracy. All right, I mean, pretty much it. That's part of it too, but pretty much it. Theoretical overviews of relationship between exercising democracy and strengthening the rule of law, ensuring social discipline, show the law of renovation, socialism, and the path to socialism in Vietnam. Yeah. In the first place, in terms of relationship between the good goal and the condition and tools to achieve the goal in this case is to implement and practice democracy. Strengthening the rule of law and answering social discipline are conditions and tools to implement and practice democracy. In the goal of implementing and practicing democracy to build a socialist democracy and improve the socialist rule of law state of Vietnam, the role of citizen as a master of the power is crucial. The party platform in the period of renovation integration emphasized that the socialist society in Vietnam is a society owned by the people. All right, I mean that's mostly it about how Vietnam is aiming on moving forward further. You hear that music? Kind of nice, huh? That's like the ethnic minority music in Vietnam, the Hmong music, I think. And I like it. I think my dad is listening to it. Oh, long story short, we are planning on moving forward on our path to socialism, which is we are building socialist democracy, and we're building a better set of law that can, promote democracy and also at the same time protect democracy, implement democracy in society, but not just only in a political life, but also in social life, cultural life, economical life too, even though it's spiritual life. So it's very important like that. My five most favorite and five least favorite. I can't answer you because again, I am a dialectical materialist. I look at things and human beings, of course, including too. I look at them as human being, and I see the good things that they did and also the bad things that they did, and I try to learn from that. I don't have like favorite or not, but if I have to, I mean, I can pick one. My most favorite is Ho Chi Minh. Our the first communist of Vietnam, our dear leader that led the successful revolution and win the wars against France and the USA. But other than that, I mean, I just consider other leaders as like something to learn from. I don't like, because we communists, we are trying to not have any cult of personality. We don't worship any human being, or we don't idolize any of them. Even I don't idolize Ho Chi Minh. I just look at him as a person that who made great contribution to the path to socialism in Vietnam, path to communism in Vietnam too. Like he sacrificed a lot, but he also a human being. He made a lot of mistakes in his life, and like we learn from it, and don't 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 join any kind of personality. I mean, it's kind of very, very tricky. It would be nice to have a revolution, but our government is very good at keeping U.S. citizens politically illiterate. I was a die-hard neoliberal for years because that's all we taught. She totally understand that. So I usually say that I don't blame you 100%. Because your education system is over there is very extremely strong and powerful. I mean, it's mostly like indoctrination system over there, where literally this is what the biggest difference in the education system in the West and in Vietnam. So in Vietnam, we teach children in detail about what capitalism actually means. We learn macroeconomics, microeconomics, and capital of Marx and Lenin too, Marx and Engels, capital. We learn clearly about what capitalism actually means, how it functions, the surplus values, and how capitalism has their benefit, and how learn about macro and microeconomic bullshit about the margin line or something like that, like bullshit like that. So we hate capitalism because we know exactly what it is and how it functions and how it exploits people. But in the West, you hate communism because you don't understand what it is, because they hide that information from you. They keep that information from you, and instead they just taught you a very vague and evil version of communism. Communism to you just means poverty. Communism means authoritarianism, and that's it. You don't understand nothing about communism. That's why you hate it. At the same time, you don't understand anything about capitalism. That's why you like it. You don't know how it functions. You don't know where the lines go up and why the lines must go up. You don't understand where the benefits and the profits come from. That's why you love it. It is a brainwash program. Here, because we understand it, that's why we hate it. Capitalism. There, you don't understand it, that's why you love it. Capitalism, you don't understand, that's why you hate it. It's communism. It's really funny. And also at the same time, not just education system is indoctrinating you, it's the mainstream media. And when I was in the US for like half a year, just listen to the radio shows, the talk shows on the radio, and listen to like CNN and ABC and Fox News. It is rigged with capitalist propaganda and anti-China propaganda that it made me so sick of it. I am a Vietnamese citizen. I'm not even Chinese. I'm a Vietnamese citizen. My country has a border with China. We have over 2,000 years history of relationship with China. But we are not as obsessed with China as the USA. I mean, if there's any country in the world that very much concerned about China, it must be Vietnam, right? Literally, we are having an ongoing, the sea dispute with China. We share a border with China. We have an over 2,000 years relationship. 2,000 years, which is 10 times older than the existence of the entire USA. Your country is just 250 years old. We've been struggling with each other for over 2,000 years. So, I mean, if there's any country that's very much concerned about China, it should be Vietnam. Should be one of them. But no, the amount of obsession with China in Vietnam is nothing compared to the USA. Every single time that I turn on the radio station, I turn on the TV and listen to Fox News, it's just non-stop China, anti-China propaganda. It's so much that I'm sick of it. Like, holy smokes. I am a Vietnamese person and I'm already sick of it. Imagine an actual China person listen to this. BS. Oh my gosh. When you all think we will reach the world majority in being socialism to stop? The last step. It depends a lot on you actually in the West. And I am waiting for countries in Latin America. You know what? My biggest hope for Latin America, my biggest hope right now is in Latin America. Let me say that again. My biggest hope for some change is in Latin America. Right? And I hopefully after that is gonna, the movement will reach to African countries and the rest of Asian countries. And the last is North America, which is, the USA and Canada, and also at the same time, Mexico, and also somehow Australia. But my biggest hope is in Latin America, and then African countries, and then the rest of Asian countries. So yeah, I mean, with the Hub token, what's going on? I mean, I know that it's not great yet. You still have so many obstacles, but at least I'm seeing something going on with, Bolivia and Chile and Peru and Brazil. I mean, with Lula being elected, hopefully, things will continue. The momentum will continue, and somehow it's going to spread to African countries with the movement from like Kenya and, many other countries like that too, in Africa and the rest of Asia, and then gonna come to the belly of the beast. When the tentacles of capitalism, imperialism, when they cannot exploit the global South country anymore, they're gonna come and exploit their own people worse and worse and worse. And that is when when this part of Asia we cut the loose. We are waiting for Latin America to cut the loose. We're waiting for African countries to cut the loose. Then imperialism will come back home. And then hopefully by that time, class consciousness will be stronger in the belly of the beast imperial core. So you can start your own revolution over there. Okay, actually we are over time and I'm extremely very hungry right now. I only had a small bowl of breakfast. Hey, Mark Clappin, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you for your education. Mark Clappin, it was 20 minutes ago. I hope that you're still here. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm very thankful for that. Thank you for your support. I was just on a overnight train, so I'm very tired. I just had a small bowl of porridge, 7 in the morning. Now it's 11 a.m. and I'm very hungry. And I'm back home with my parents, so I'm going to have awesome food right now. Here in Chile, things are going bad quick. Oh my gosh, There's still loads of propaganda to make the country look dangerous and defamatory, or to allow fascists to take over. Stay strong, comrades in Chile. I know that the USA will not let you do that easily at all. It will not. Hey, super sticker from Park. Please stay strong, stay safe, fight against it, because you know you already have a history of being totally controlled by the West. Oh, Paul, thank you so much for the super sticker. It's so cute. Is this a lemon holding up another green lime? I could be wrong. That's so cute. I know, and I think that we all know that it's not gonna be easy at all for Latin America to rise up, fight against capitalism, imperialism, because you are the backyard of the USA. It's literally right up there. Vietnam is a country that's on the other side of the earth to the USA, and it took Vietnam 20 freaking years to kick them out of Vietnam. And even to this day, we still fight against their influence. It's so hard. I know this is 100 times worse for you, Latin America, to fight against that, but I have a hope on you. You had Allende. You will have the next Allende to fight against. Of course, the USA will try to put back Pinochet into your country. Like in Brazil, they would try to put back, like Bolsonaro or someone like Bolsonaro back in your country, but stay strong. You have to unite to fight against that. And also at the same time, the imperial core is dying. Good news, people, it's dying. Like country like with BRICS, and country like ASEAN, 11 countries in Southeast Asia, like joining together and try to ditch US dollars. It's dying day is coming. Inflation is getting crazy over there. Mass shootings everywhere. People rioting, protesting. Class struggle is getting stronger and stronger. Class consciousness is getting higher and higher. There's hope for you. Once the imperial core is busy dealing with its own bullshit, that is chance for you. Like in the 1945, the reason why Vietnam can have a successful revolution, it was a matter of a few days in a month, August 1945, when fascist Japanese, and colonialist French busy fighting against each other. And also at the same time, the Chiang Kai-shek's army is still struggling on the border of Vietnam, fighting against their own struggle in China. At that time, fucking Chiang Kai-shek's army. In the moment of the few days, Vietnam took that as a chance to have a successful revolution and get independence in Vietnam. Even right after that, I had to fight against the colonialist French and imperialist USA. But that is something, when our enemy is busy, we need to take the chance. We have stopped using dollars for trading. That's huge. Yeah, exactly. Because one of the main reasons why the US can control the world is because of the dollars, petrodollars. And since we are ditching it, there's a whole new chapter that's coming. When they are busy handling the issue domestically, the revolutionary will visit their forts. Yes, exactly. I'm so hungry right now, people. Even though I would love to stay and talk with you, but let's talk next week. Thank you so much for being here, and see you next time. And thank you so much for all of your donations, your super chats, and your cute super stickers. Bye, everybody. See you next week.